Hello, Wild and Creative Golden Souls. Sarah Marie Thompson here, creative lifestyle expert and soul guide, and the host of this group. And as promised, I wanted to come on today and talk about some really important topics. Really important topics that I know so many of you are dealing with right now, struggling with right now. We're going to go through a whole bunch of different things here. I'm not sure how long this video will go. I'm assuming probably about half hour or something, but honestly, you want to watch it to the end because I know you guys will be able to pinpoint a lot of different things that I'm talking about here and put these kind of corrections to good use, okay? So in my topic here, I wrote how you are playing in the game of life. Okay, we want to know how you're playing in the game of life and how it's really affecting you, how it is, creating you discomfort, how it's creating you suffering, how it is not allowing you to expand, all that kind of stuff, why you're still stuck, how to recognize your lack of self-worth, okay, and how you can change it all. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of different little mini corrections or even just ways that you can kind of think about things differently. It's going to make a huge difference, okay? Okay, so it's November 2nd. Okay, I was hoping to do this video yesterday, but I was so busy and I did a couple other videos, so I couldn't fit it in. But it's November 2nd, which means there's only 2 months left of the whole year, and I can't even believe it because I remember when this year started. It felt ages ago, and it felt ages ago, but then again, it also felt like only a little while ago. And so much has happened for me this year. I know so much has happened for so many other people. This year, 2017, was a 1-year cycle and number one in a 9-year cycle in numerology. And so big things were happening for so many people. Huge changes were happening. I'd love to know, please comment at any time during this live. Anything that you want to comment, I'd love to chat with you about it. Anything that I'm talking about, obviously. Tell me if 2017 has been a crazy year for you. That's what I want to know. Has there been big changes in 2017 for you yet this year? Okay, so like I said before, there's 2 months left in the rest of the year, and I did put out a post in the group today, and I kind of asked the question of like, hey, has your life really changed since January? And I'm assuming that for a lot of people it hasn't, right? I know that for some people it has, but for a lot of people it hasn't. And why is that, you think? You know what I mean? Like, why is that? Could it be, well, I just didn't have the money to do something? No. Money is literally a result. You can always find money if you really need to, and we're going to get into that as well. Hello, Charlotte. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Genevieve. Hello, Nicole, I think is on. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to talk about some really cool things here. Okay. So the year is almost past. Okay, the question is to ask yourself right now as we're doing this live, have you gotten to where you really wanted to go yet? And if the question is no, if the answer is no, we have to ask the question of why do you think that is that we're still not expanding, right? We have to look at that. So as you have heard me say a million times, we have to create our own opportunities. We cannot wait for opportunities to fall into our lap. I know so many people wait for opportunities to fall into their lap, and not only is it dangerous, it doesn't get you anywhere, okay? So I've always been a huge advocate for creating your own opportunities. I find that creative individuals, like the real creative individuals, sometimes are the biggest contradictions. We sometimes don't often create those big opportunities for ourselves. We kind of just stay creating our small things, right? So it's really, really important. Hi, Genevieve. It's really, really important that we create the big possibilities for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like if it is something where we want to expand and we want to become visible online or something like that, we cannot wait for somebody to ask us to be in their podcast or do something like that. We have to create our own podcast. We have to friggin' create our own video series summit or whatever. I remember when I did my first video series or summit, I was totally freaked out. I didn't even know how to record it, but I did it anyway. I just organized it and then I learned it, okay? And from that, that was a huge growth piece of my business as well. We honestly have to look at, okay, where do I want to go? Even if I just am kind of guessing, I don't know the answers to this, but where do I really want to go? And what does that really mean? Okay, I want to be well known for doing something amazing. I want to, say be well known online or what have you, or on TV or something like that. How can I jump How can I make a huge jump so that I can actually just get into this? Like the faster, the better. That's usually creating your own thing. You know what I mean? Like if you can't beat them, join them in a sense, but it's like create your own thing so that you can be that person already, right? So don't hold back. That's a really, really big, huge thing. Honestly, there is such a danger. There is such a danger in waiting for opportunities to come to you. And there's so many people out there, and I know a ton of them. There's so many people out there that wait for the best opportunities for them to get involved, them to get themselves involved in. You know what I mean? And you can see the lack of purpose. You can kind of see the lack of spark. You can see the lack of momentum. Because essentially they're using other people to get ahead in a roundabout way. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but in a roundabout way. And so you really have to honestly be that person that creates the opportunity for yourself. Okay. And honestly, from there, then you can really share what you're doing. Then you can ask other people to join you and that kind of thing. It always is, your decision, whether or not what things you get involved in and that kind of stuff. All I'm saying to you right now, just as a reminder, is that you absolutely have to create your own opportunities. So if there's something that you want to do, just friggin' do it already and do it for yourself. Okay. Honestly, that's how I created a lot of different things. That's how I created at the very, very beginning, that's how I created a massive following online. I was, at first, I remember this moment, and we were creating a coffee table book. If you kind of know my story, right? Like from the very beginning, we were creating a coffee table book, and then we're like, who's going to buy the book? We don't have anybody. We don't have a following. And I remember somebody else that I was working with was like, well, maybe we should just contact all these other people and get them to share it and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, hell no. Let's just hop online. We're going to just start creating our own community, and we're going to be in charge. We're going to share it from there. You know what I mean? Like, you have to take the reins of your own life. Like, you have to start now. You know what I mean? People out there, there's so many people out there right now. This is something I'm so passionate about talking about. There's so many people out there right now. You might be one of them, okay? And I'm not talking about anybody specific, but there's so many people out there right now that are wasting the opportunities that are kind of that they have kind of created essentially for themselves, right? But they're wasting opportunities. So let me give you an example, okay? Let me give you an example. This is like prime example, okay? So say somebody is offering free mentorship or free coaching or something like that for a day, okay? And somebody signs up. They want to sign up. They want to get like an hour mentorship with you or whatever. Then they don't show up on the call, right? We've all had that before. It's all happened before, but they don't show up on the call. Okay, why, you think? Okay, was it that they were like, I just don't want to go today. I'm just going to blow that person off. Or was it that their ego was like, get involved, do all these other different things so you forget about it. You know what I mean? So sometimes there are opportunities that come for you, right? And you're involved in them. And they are opportunities that are going to help you expand immensely. Maybe someone gifts you a program that the universe is like, this is going to be perfect for you. Or maybe you get something else, right? And you don't take the opportunity. Like, you don't do it. Like, you don't even get involved. Like, you're like, maybe it's that you want to, but your ego is just like, nope, stay small. Don't do it. Like, let's just work on something else. Like, let's just, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it happens. So it's so unbelievably important that you become aware of all of these opportunities that have come to you. Like, I'm talking about, like, for example, this is prime example. I've given away a lot of programs in my life, right? Like, whether it be from like free programs or paid programs or what have you. Like, I gift a lot of different things, like, you know, over the span of a year, okay? And some of these things that I've gifted, I'll look in the back end of my programs. All the people that have usually paid the program have taken the program. All the people that have got usually gifted the program, I'm not saying everybody, but like most people, hardly have looked at it at all. Okay, so that's fine. Like, whatever, that's the way that it usually is. All I'm saying is, like, if that's you, all I'm saying is that you really need to look at these things that you have available to you, right? These tools, these experiences that you have available to you to help you learn, help you expand, help you become better versions of yourself. When you are at home complaining that your life is shitty, you know what I mean? But you're not taking these opportunities. I'm just talking about creating your opportunities, but I'm also talking about like the experiences that you can have and like tune into, right? So that's really huge. Look at the things that you have around. Look at the tools, the learning, the education that you have around. What are you not actually diving into, right? We're going to get into this even more about resistance, but for now, I just want you to kind of think about that. Write down kind of maybe some of the things that you have been provided with or gifted or even signed up for. We sign up for a lot of programs too, right? And we end up not taking them. They end up in like this huge like file in our computers, and we do not end up taking them. Thank you for the hearts. So, okay, I've got this huge list of things I'm going to mention here. So right now, hesitation. Okay, well, the things that you're hesitating on are usually the things that you need the most. So the things that you're hesitating on and not fully showing up, right? These are usually the things that we need the most, that our ego is kind of like blocking us. Because the things that we hesitate on are usually the things we have an emotional charge around, right? So look at all of these things that you're kind of wanting to do, you know, deep down in your soul that it, you know, it is a calling for you, yet you do have that crazy hesitation with, oh yeah, I'm going to write a book, and you've been saying that for 4 years and it hasn't started, you know what I mean? Or, oh, I'm going to create that program, and your friends are like, yeah, you know, you've been telling us about it for 6 months, just do it already. Like, these things that we hesitate on are usually the ones where they're emotionally charged around and that we care a lot about. So our ego gets in the way and is like, you know what, if you're not going to do it perfectly, or you're not going to do it like the way that you want it to do, you know, it's not going to work out, right? So that's kind of like how our ego gets in the way of all of these different things. Normally, when we are hesitating on a lot of different things, and this is even a prime example. Say you're reading a book or going over a program or something like that, okay? You open it up, and all of a sudden you're reading through these topics and that kind of thing, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to skim over this topic here. What I have found in the past, and this is prime example for me too, what I have found in the past is that those things that I'm skimming over that I think I don't really need to like dive into, that I don't need to learn again, or you know, I'm just going to skim over, that's my kitty in the back, are the things that I actually need to relearn. You know what I mean? I think I know them. My ego is like, oh, you already know that. But you actually really need to relearn and dive into those things. So catch yourself next time you're reading something or watching something and you want to skim over and that kind of thing. Even this video, right? If you're just like, I'm just going to like fast forward, watch everything that I'm saying, because honestly, where you have these hesitations is probably something that you really, really need to dive into and be very aware of. So the things that are not working out in your life that are really, really sludgy, right? We all have these kind of areas of your life. But if, again, you know, you have looked at this whole entire year and been like, I'm in the exact same place I was in January, and it's November already. It's almost a year. You know, a few little things have happened here and there, but technically I'm in the exact same place. Okay, so that means that life's not really working out the best for you, probably, or you have not progressed in many different ways, and it feels sludgy. The most important thing for you to do at this time in some way is shift your vibe. You have to shift your vibe, or else the energy is not going to change, right? I always get this saying wrong, but you guys know it. It's just, you know, like, we can't expect change when we're doing the same things all the time. I always get it wrong, but you guys know what I'm saying. So honestly, if we're living the exact same life every single day, day to day to day, we can't expect anything to change. Like, we really, really honestly can't. If there is a change, like if you're saving money or something like that, maybe small, incrementally, it's growing or that kind of thing. But other than that, your life is not really fully changing to any kind of big capacity, right? It really isn't. So you got to shift your vibe. So ways you can shift your vibe is now, hold on, I missed something here. Ways that you can shift your vibe is to look at what your reality is that you really want to create, okay? So obviously we all have dreams, we all have desires, and it's important for us to actually record them and write them down. So check out, what is a reality that we really, really want to create, even if it's like a small shift in our life, okay? What is the reality we really want to create? Because we need to now set the momentum for us to create that vibration of having it now, essentially, right? You've heard of this before. It's kind of like the law of attraction in a sense, but it's a little bit more, I'm going to say a little bit more tangible than just thinking about it on your couch. So say you want to, I don't know, say you want to do something. What is it that you want to do? Somebody give me an idea, and I'll talk about it in topic. What is a desire or a goal or something like that that you really want to create for yourself? I'd love to know. So for example, right now I'm just going to do, like, say you want to create a book. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there that want to create a book, right? So, and you honestly have been thinking about creating your book for a number of years. Nothing is going on. Nothing's happening. Nothing in your life is changing, but it's a major desire of yours, and you know that you want to have it happen. So right now, what I would do, and I've been there before for this too, right now, if I want to create a book, what I'm going to do is actually, first and foremost, I'm going to head to the bookstore. I'm going to go in the bookstore, and I'm going to see which books I'm really falling in love with. What books covers am I falling in love with? What kind of genres? Just like get into the whole kind of the whole vibe of the whole bookstore kind of idea, right? Bookstores are amazing. They can make us feel successful. They can make us feel on track. They can make us feel happy, inspired, creative. I know years and years ago when I was so unbelievably lost and feeling lost all the time, I would always head to the bookstores and honestly just like smell the books. And I would just be there, just kind of basking in the success and the creativity and the inspiration of all these authors that have created books like before me. And it felt so good. Like I felt like there was hope. Like I felt as though all the answers were in that bookstore, and I was super, super close to them, right? Bookstores are adventures, just like Nicole said. So again, if you're trying to write a book, I'm going to give you an example of what shifting your vibe would be like for this. If you're going to write a book, you're going to go to the bookstore, you're going to check it all out, right? Then you're literally going to think about, okay, what is the topic of my book that I want to write, okay? And you're going to start writing, like tangibly start writing about this book. Not in your head like we all think about, I'm writing a book in my head for 2 years. Like, no, we're going to now get it out on paper, okay? Then we're literally going to shift into the vibration of, what would it look like if my book got published? Would I be traveling? Would I be doing book signings? All that kind of stuff. And what does that look like, okay? Maybe if there's a book signing in your area, go to that book signing. See what it's all about, right? Like actually get yourself into the momentum, into the ideas of being part of that world, right? Being part of that reality. Really, really switch it up in that sense. And honestly, then start breaking down your book in forms of like, kind of like a skeleton of your book, right? Now you're actually in the game. Now you have actually kind of created a bit of a framework for your book. You're more ahead than you ever were a year ago. You know what I mean? So it really just takes really quick shifts for you to actually start to transform your reality and start the momentum of you creating that goal. Genevieve says she's in the process of creating a business that allows her to do the work that she loves, helps a lot of people, and make a great living. So she's very excited. So Genevieve, I kind of have an idea about what your business is about, but so for example, let's just say you're starting from scratch, right? A lot of people will find that they hold back on starting these endeavors or journeys that really mean a lot to them because of the little logistical parts of it, okay? So for example, I know that before I created my very first video interview series a couple years ago, I like organized it all, organized the interviews, all that kind of stuff, but then I was like scared shitless, and I kept kind of putting off this one interview because I didn't know how to work the recording software, okay? Why would that hold me back? I don't know, honestly. It's just one of those things where our ego wants to keep us safe and we get fearful. So if there's anything in your business right now that you're fearful of, whether it be, you know, oh, I think that having a website or something like that is going to be too much money or this and that, honestly, start diving in and looking at prices of things. Make the fear move away. You know what I mean? For you to have a running website every year, chances are it's going to be a couple $100. Couple $100. Whoa, that could be a lot, like for a lot of people, right? But it's like, hello, you're in business. What's the goal here? To make number of thousands of dollars? It'll pay for itself. So it's so funny. I'm going to actually get into more about this too, but we have these contradictions. We want to do these things, want to create these lives for ourselves, yet we are not willing to do these small little things or even learn about different things that we need, right? That can help us get us on track and help us move forward. So education really is power. It really, really is. The more you know about things, the more you have less fear around them, right? And fear isn't real. It's just kind of like an idea that we have about things. I know that I knew a girl for a long time that wanted to start a business, but her fear was around paying taxes. She didn't want to pay taxes. She didn't want to get audited. Well, it's like, why are you moving into your business with that belief? Like, isn't that strange? Why are you moving into your business with that belief? And you know what? As you organize your business properly and just kind of put aside tax money here and there, that kind of thing, it's going to pay for itself. So don't worry. It's all of these little things we're fearful of and that keep us stuck and that kind of thing. Okay. So next we're going to talk about I'm just going to finish up on that. So really, honestly, whatever it is that you want to create in your life, right? Whatever it is you want that reality to be, start moving in the direction of that. Make time for whatever that's going to, kind of get you into the momentum of that. Go to a specific place that's going to kind of push you into the vibe of that, right? Just start now. Just start getting involved in that lifestyle, getting involved in that reality, getting involved in the momentum of what it's like to be maybe around these people, have these mentors, all that kind of stuff. It will literally change your life. You have to present to the world who you want to become, or else the universe can't meet you halfway. Simple as that. It absolutely can't meet you halfway. Then there is the other piece of the pie here where we've all dealt with this before, but it's about you feeling like you're a fraud or maybe a liar or fake in some way, right? We've all heard the term fake it till you make it, right? Which is, like a popular term, and it actually has some merit. But the whole thing that I have found is that when we are faking something that is not in alignment with us, we don't grow and expand anyway. So what we need to do is wholeheartedly and like really in tune with our soul, we have to figure out, what it is that we want to do, who we want to be, and why. Okay. And therefore, coming from that place, instead of just the whole fake it till you make it, that's going to actually help us propel us and help us expand into the direction that we want to go. Because if you are somebody that is feeling like a fake or a fraud or what have you, or you're having those feelings, right? Because say you're starting a business and you haven't got a lot of clients yet, right? And you are, I'll give you an example. When I first started my business, I started about 5 years ago, but when I first started my kind of mentorship portion of my business, I was mentoring women on the fact that they can create anything, they can create the life that they want. They can create the reality that they want. They can create amazing business for themselves. They can create a great income for themselves, all that kind of stuff. And I was having trouble with the alignment of that at the beginning because I still had a large corporate job, okay? And so essentially I felt like a fraud in my message. So if you are feeling like a fraud or something like that, look at your message and see how you can just change it. If there's some other kind of like exterior things that you can't change, right? Say you still really need your job at the moment until you progress, that kind of thing. Just kind of change the way that your message is, but still keeping in congruency with your purpose and all that kind of stuff. But just maybe change the way that you are angling a few different things, and that might help you with the whole kind of fraud piece. Because so many people honestly do feel that way, and I think that stops them from the whole expansion piece. I'm going to share with you though too that I remember the day that I did actually quit my corporate job, and that day my energy opened up so unbelievably much that I made thousands of dollars in my business because I was now free, I was now open, I was now feeling as though I was living my truth. You know what I mean? I was like living my message. So that's a really, really big piece when it comes to if you are feeling kind of stuck or sludgy or not in alignment, that kind of thing. Just look at your message, look what you are trying to portray, and just kind of almost word it in a different way where it feels truthful to you. It feels honest to you. It feels like transparent in a way, right? Because there's no fraud if you're living your truth. You know what I mean? There's no fraudulent ideas or beliefs anybody's really going to have about you. It's really you feeling that way about yourself, right? Obviously, if you're online and, realistically people kind of know what you're up to and you're telling them that you're making $1 million, but your courses are only like $99, I mean, that's when people might get like a little bit of a like untruthful idea about you. But the whole thing is to just be transparent, let people know what your story is, what you're going through, where you are at in life, and people are going to connect with you on that level. And it's going to be that much more powerful than you ever could imagine. Because people want to know that you're a real person. People want to know that you have gone through struggles, that you've gone through times and challenging times, all that kind of stuff, right? They don't want to know that you're just perfect, came onto the scene with, just a great business and making a lot of money, right? That's not usually the case, right? So people want to know the real you. Okay, so here's another thing. We kind of talked about this just a little bit, but what you ignore and disregard on the day-to-day usually means that you do need this the most. So we talked about this a little bit before, but say, for example, you are hesitating on buying a book, or you're hesitating on buying a program that you know that you really, really want, or you're hesitating on even creating a program that you know that will be really, really useful, right? Honestly, I'm going back again to this because it's such a big piece, but you really have to look and see and dive deep into these things that you're hesitating on doing and the things that you are almost kind of resisting doing, right? These are the things that are popping up for you and kind of staying in your psyche for a reason, whether it be subconscious, conscious, what have you. These things keep popping up for you. So you have to really look and see what these things are all about. Okay, setting up yourself in the game of life. I talked about this in the topic. It's really, really important because so many people are not actually seeing how they're setting themselves up energetically in this game of life that we're playing. So if you look at the game of life, right, there's what happens. You buy different things. You buy malls, or you buy, like, even look at Monopoly. You want to buy, for you to win Monopoly, you got to have the monopoly of the town, right? So I'm not saying that you have to go buy houses and all that stuff to be successful. What I'm saying is that nobody ever wins Monopoly by not investing in themselves, okay? Same with the game of life. Nobody ever wins the game of life by not investing in themselves in some way. That is what these games teach us. That's why I love these, like, simple old games, because you know what? Like, what a perfect, actually energetic kind of a game for you to play with your family and that kind of thing, because you got some money at the beginning, right? And then you're like buying things. You're like, I'm going to buy that hotel, right? And you're feeling good, and like the energy is high because you feel powerful, you feel in control, you feel like you're investing in yourselves, you feel like you're getting somewhere, right? And although you might lose a game here or there, it's that important. It's that vibration that you really, really, really want to get into. And so the whole question behind this, and this is such an important topic I really wanted to talk about today, was that what do you feel your self-worth is actually reflective of? So if you look at yourself right now in this game of life, right? What kind of things are you not investing in yourself with? Is it, I'm just not ready to purchase an email autoresponder for $20 a month. I'd rather just like type them all in every single time and like 1,000 emails. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? Wouldn't the $20 a month you'd be spending on an email autoresponder be a lot more efficient and give you less headaches and give you more of a sense of pride and make your business that more professional, right? Where are you not buying in? And here's the thing, like, here's the dichotomy of it all, because I know that there's so many people that tell me online all the time, like through different posts and that kind of thing, I want to do this and I want to change my life, but I don't have the money to do it. Okay, here's the thing. I have absolutely 100%, there's been a time in my life where I didn't even have $1. I had credit cards, I had bank accounts, all that kind of stuff. I remember this one day, I did not even have $1 and I couldn't even go like to Starbucks and get a coffee or whatever. And I didn't want to ask my boyfriend, like my husband now at the time, but you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to ask him for money, but because I felt so unbelievably like, how bottom of the barrel, like, could you actually get? I knew that there was like money coming to me like in a couple weeks or in a week or something like that, or hadn't got paid for something, but there was actually a day where I didn't have $1. So you can't tell me that if you're right now like short on money or don't have very much money that you can't turn that around, because you can, because I have, because many, many other people have, right? Because that's just the way that it is. You have to shift your self-worth. So where in your life are you not buying in? And if the answer the answer to that is just simply because, I'm not buying into, say, even like a program or mentorship or a book I want or something like that because I don't have any money, you can make the money for that book. It's really about how much are you going to put your energy into finding that money. Okay, there are so many ways. You are richer than you think. We all know this. You have stuff in your house you can sell. You have it's funny. It's all different perspectives of people, right? Because I remember I had this friend, this was growing up, and like we were teenagers, and you know, when you're teenagers, you don't usually have a ton of money, right? And I remember asking her, I was like, well, let's go out tonight. She's like, oh, I can't, I'm so poor. And I was like, well, okay, how much money do you have? She's like, I only have $1,000 left. And I was like, dude, I have $20, right? So it's all a perspective. And I think that it's so interesting because even her, right, whoever that was, you know, she had the ability to, I'm not saying go out that night, but I'm just saying she had the ability, she had something to work with there, right? And still yet she felt poor and that her self-worth was low in that moment. Where I'm like, hey, I've got $20. Like, what can I spend this on to like better myself, right? So it's all a perception. It's all a perception switch. So again, the big question is, why are you not buying in? If it's because you are feeling as though you hesitate on a lot of stuff, well, look back what we just talked about. What are you hesitating on? Those are usually the things that you need the most. If you are wanting to work with somebody that has built a huge business online and is wanting to, you know that they can show you the methods and the ways and the tools to jump ahead fast in your business and create something amazing, then, you know, why are you hesitating on working with them if you know that that is going to be a really big help, and you know that they're going to be a role model for you to help you shift into your business, right? You know, it's funny, like I talk with a lot of different women, especially about working with me with mentorship, and that's not what this video is about. But just to give you an example, I would probably say that about 60% of the women, 60%, 70% of the women that I talk to actually end up working with me. And then there is that, you know, about 30% that simply allow their ego or allow their fear or allow their the result of what's going on in their life right now to not allow them to progress. And those are usually the women that really actually deep within their heart, like want it so badly, like really want to progress. They really know that they have a passion, they have a purpose, and they want to dive deep and they really want to go further, right? But they allow their circumstance of the moment to not allow them to do that, right? I know one lady actually that had that situation, and she switched it all around after talking with me. And she actually, I can't remember what she did. I think it was like she literally like purged a whole bunch of stuff in her house, had 2 garage sales back to back, and she made it work. She made it happen because she was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let this stupid result of what's going on in my life right now stop me. And we ended up working together, and she ended up building an amazing, amazing business, which I do believe actually to this day probably is making her about $25,000 a month. So that it just shows you what you can really do when you say like, F you ego, I'm going to like move forward. I'm in charge. You know what I mean? Like I'm in charge now. So in the game of life, where are you not buying in? Because we know if you're not buying in, you're not going to win the game. You know what I mean? You're not going to win Monopoly if you're not buying in and you're not investing in yourself. And that doesn't just mean with mentorship. That could mean if you have some amazing job interviews, right? And you have $1,000 in your bank account and you don't have a really nice outfit to wear. Why are you going to wear your sweatpants instead of going out and buying, you know, a $150 outfit? I know that sounds expensive at the time, but if that's going to get you an amazing job that in the end is going to actually bring in that much more income for you and your family, like wouldn't that be worth it? So look at the things, like where's the contradiction here? Where's the things that you are wanting to create, but there's that huge contradiction that you're not allowing yourself to get through, right? Here's another thing I wanted to share. And again, I'm not talking about anybody specific, okay? But I have known since I've been online I've been online with you guys, like in this group, especially for like over 2 years, okay? I have put out a lot of different things, a lot of different programs, a lot of different freebies, all that kind of stuff. And there are women and men that I consider freebie grabbers, okay? You might be one of them. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. This is just for educational purposes. I'm talking about this. But there are people online that literally just go around, grab all the opt-ins, grab all the freebies for years and years. Maybe they soak them in, maybe they don't, but they do not invest in themselves, even $25. You know what I mean? You might be one of these people. So I want to ask you if you are one of these people, even if you hardly invest in yourself at all, maybe, you know what I mean, like $100 a year or something like that. I want to ask you, has your life actually really changed momentously, like within the last year, if you are a freebie grabber? Because there's a couple things happening here. One, yes, you're diving into some education that's free, which is great, right? You know, you're maximizing that, which is great. But if you are not investing in yourself, you're essentially telling the universe, I'm only worth freebies, okay? I'm only worth freebies. So again, this probably can relate to so many different people. And I know for me at the beginning, especially when I was first kind of diving into business and that kind of thing, what we spend our money on, what we spend like monetarily or energetically monetarily, what we spend that on is a huge telltale sign of our self-worth, but it's also a huge telltale sign of where we want to go in life and how we want the universe to actually support us. Because if we are not investing in ourselves in any way, you know what I mean? We are saying the universe that we're not worth it. So I thought that at the beginning, when I first started business, this was for a couple years at the beginning, I thought I could learn it all by myself. I was like, oh, I can learn it all online. I'm just going to like look through Google. I'm just going to learn a bunch of stuff. I'll check out what other people are doing. I'll just like figure it out, all that kind of stuff. And I was progressing so unbelievably slowly. I was getting a huge following, but the whole back end of how to monetize and how to do all these things, unbelievably slow. I could not figure out why, okay? I thought that all like my investment money actually just went into books. I just buy books, new books all the time. I love books, but I would not invest in programs. I would not invest in group programs, mentorship, anything like that. The moment that I invested in myself with a business mentor, okay, everything shifted. She provided me with the insight to what's going on behind the scenes, what programs I need to use that's going to maximize my monetary gain or even my visibility. She basically gave me like, even in our first call, she gave me the quick roadmap to be like, no, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. This is alignment with what you're kind of doing. These are the programs that you need. Like, you do not need this. This is a waste of money. And I was just like, oh my God. All that stuff, just like I was working on for 2 years, and you've literally just shown me a very clear path now as to what I need to do within one call. And that's the beauty of working with a mentor, especially one that has gained visibility online and is making an income for themselves, because they have done the work, they've done their due diligence already, they've had the trial and error, they've worked with other mentors, all that kind of stuff, right? Me, I'm still always working with other mentors, always scaling up my vibration, always scaling up my business, everything like that, right? So again, that is the beauty of working with somebody, if you weren't exactly 100% clear. Okay, again, that's the beauty of buying in. So how much did I work? How much was that mentor specifically? I mean, I've worked with so many over the number of years, but my first mentor, I think, was about $2,800 or something like that. For $2,800, I completely shifted the trajectory of my business and got it moving into a space where I was making an income like within the first month, because I had some pieces, but I just didn't have them put together properly, right? There are some women that I start working with right away. They don't have a website, they don't have a presence, they don't have anything, which is fine. But the whole idea about us working together in those first calls, right, is about what's your alignment, what's your purpose. Let's make everything super like lined up here so that when we start implementing these big programs and tools and that kind of stuff, which when I say big programs, I don't want you to get scared, because it's really just a great way to automate yourself, right? It's a helpful program. When we implement the helpful programs, it's like boom, 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 right? Of course, it's not overnight, but I'm just saying it's boom, boom, boom in a much faster way than you would ever figure it out on your own. So I know that there are a lot of women out there that literally just, you know, buy books like I used to do, right? Or don't invest in themselves in any way, the freebie grabbers online. And I just want you to, you know, if that is you, I just want you to ask yourself, how has your life really changed by grabbing those freebies for so long? Okay, done. We won't talk about that anymore. Okay, so with the universe, right? The universe is always trying to meet us halfway, always. The universe is there for us. The universe has our back. And we have to show the universe what we want and that we are worth what we want, right? So we also have to show the universe what you don't want, right? So here's the thing. You can create money. Even if you have no money right now in your bank account, you absolutely can create money. And it sounds like a foreign idea, maybe to so many of you, but the idea about creating money is that, here's a really good example. If someone, this is horrible, but if someone kidnapped your child and said, hey, we've got your child and we're not going to give your child back until you provide us with $10,000, click, you'd be like, I'm going to go make $10,000. You are that passionate about it and you're that sure of yourself and you know in your heart that you have to do this, you're going to go make that money. So why, not even that things that you necessarily need at the moment are $10,000, but why would you put your energy and shift your vibration into making that money that quickly with something so important as to save your child's life? Why would you not, in a way, do that for yourself? Right? Like, where's the disconnect there? Why would you not do that for yourself? That's like a huge piece for you to think about, right? Obviously, there's a bit of urgency there with saving your child's life opposed to maybe building a business. But why are we not putting our self-worth into the urgency category? That's what I'm trying to say, right? Why are you not putting your self-worth and that urgency into you building a life that you truly care about and that you truly desire? I don't know. Everybody has their own answer for that, but that's really something important for you to think about, because if you really want to do something, just like that lady I talked about who had the garage sales, if you really want to do something, you find a way to make the money. It's as simple as that. It's just like when you are making a little bit more money, right? You start implementing more aspects of your life that maybe cost a little bit more and that kind of stuff too, right? This is what happens to a lot of people. Say they're doing something that they really desire doing. Maybe they're working with a mentor. Maybe they've purchased something where they have to pay for it. Maybe it's a car. You know what I mean? They had a $500 car payment every single month that they've added on to their bills. And with doing that, they know that that's a part of life now. You know what I mean? And so somehow, energetically, they will make an extra $500 a month. That's usually the way that it works. So we have to bust past the fear and get into the knowing that we can actually make it work. You know, that was definitely me at the beginning as well. You know what I mean? When you don't have a ton of money to work and start something at the beginning, there's a lot of fears that come up, and there's that scarcity and lack mindset that really, really takes over. And you have to bust past it. You have to get rid of the fear, or else you will not progress. You will absolutely not progress. You're not going to progress and build $1 million business, like most likely, maybe 1% of people, if you were only grabbing freebies online. And you were only getting advice from friends and family. End of story. I went back to that. But you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So here's another thing I want to share with you. And maybe this is something that some of you can relate to. But what's going on right now, when this happens in most group programs, but this is a really good, story. So right now in a program I'm hosting called the Golden Pineapple Project, right? There's about 75 women that are in this program right now. Roughly short of 30 of them were in the first round, and the whole rest are part of this round of the Golden Pineapple Project, which is just amazing. And there's probably about, I'm going to say, maybe about 15 women that are diehard, like we're seeing them every week. You know what I mean? They're like, they're in it to win it. Then let's just take kind of like another like 10 or 15 of them that probably have just forgotten about it, right? And then let's look at that middle range, that kind of 20 people or so. Let's say that these 20 people, which I'm assuming this is what they're doing, are actually just watching from behind the scenes. I can see that they're actually participating, grabbing the lessons, but they're not showing up in video, okay? And they're just essentially soaking it up through osmosis. Maybe they're doing the work, like I said, behind the scenes, they're doing the journaling, all that kind of stuff, and the lessons that we're providing, but they're not actually showing up fully, okay? So the question is why? You know, why would somebody show up fully and another person not? And so, again, what we do with one thing is usually what we do with everything, right? So let's go back to that hesitation and that resistance again, right? If it's hesitation and resistance with them showing up on video, which is kind of a big part of the program, which, again, is one of the most amazing, expansive parts of the program, why would they not want to do that? It's probably because, you know, their ego or fear is stepping in and being like, you know, time has passed now, so I don't want to start, or either, you know, I just never have makeup on, so I can't do it, or I'm scared of video, like I just don't want to show up on video, and all that kind of thing. I'm going to just say that if you're in a position like this, right, where you are not showing up fully, yet expecting big results in your life, it's not going to work out. Like, honestly, it's not going to work out. Only when you show up fully and actually give yourself at least 99%, you know what I mean, in what you're doing, showing that you have the self-worth to show up like that and have the self-respect and have the self-awareness and also the self-acceptance to show up fully in whatever it is that you're doing. If you're not doing that, it's not going to work out for you. I'm just going to say that now, because really it is a telltale sign that the way we do one thing is the way that we do many, many things, right? So again, if you are one of those people that are just kind of lurking and watching from behind the scenes, and I'm not talking about anybody specific, but I'm just saying that if that's the way that you're doing things with life, you know, you're just kind of like soaking up Facebook Lives here and there, or soaking up freebies, or taking a program but not showing up fully, and yet deep down in your heart you're like, why isn't it life working out for me? Why can't I succeed? Why haven't I made that income goal? Think about it. Like, what's the contradiction here? That's a huge contradiction, right? That's massive. So what are you consciously doing to keep yourself, or subconsciously doing to keep yourself small or keep yourself suffering? Okay. These are all really good things for you to journal on and really dive deep into, because this is huge. Okay. What are you doing to keep yourself suffering? Because there's always something in where you're keeping yourself suffering. For me, I have a good one. Okay. So for me, something dear to my heart I've talked about a lot is that I wrote a book about 1.5 years ago, and I created the book proposal, right? It came off like magic, right? I nailed a literary agent right away, and I was like, this is happening. Like, I'm in alignment. This is happening. And then bam, it's been at the literary agent for a really long time. And this literary agent is definitely, you know, she's got great credentials. Like, I know somebody that's had published books by her, so it's not like her, you know what I mean? So I asked myself, like, okay, where is my energy stagnant here? You know what I mean? Like, where is it stagnant? So I've got to say that in the past 6 months, I haven't really looked at my book. I haven't edited it, re-edited it. I haven't added more to it, anything like that, because I've just felt like sludgy. I've just felt stuck. So I have had kind of like these darker feelings around the book, right? It is something that I really want to get out there. It is something that I know will be the absolute most brilliant foundation for anybody that ever wanted to work with me, anybody who ever wanted to know my story. Just my whole idea of what life is just like, it's a brilliant, brilliant book. And I know I'm tooting my own horn, but it's like so good. So it's like, why hasn't it not got a publisher yet, right? A traditional publisher. And so for me, here's the weird part. Here's where we have to kind of look at the piece of where we're kind of like subconsciously making ourselves suffer. So I used to love bookstores. I do love bookstores. You know, I love stationery. I just love bookstores. But every time I go into a bookstore now, I feel a little grudge. I feel a little tiny darkness, a little tiny resentment of bookstores. And it's a horrible feeling. And it's something that I'm aware of, but it's kind of like, you know, I'm always going to buy books. I'm always going to love books, but it's like, why, what, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at a really shitty book. Like, you know what I mean? It's like nothing in it. And I'm like, how did this book get published and my life's work has not been published? You know what I mean? So again, that's kind of a dark little piece of the pie that I had an awareness of myself. And so I want to ask you if there's anybody willing to, comment right now, like, what is maybe kind of a darkness that you've kind of created for yourself, even subconsciously, that you weren't aware of, maybe out of resentment or something like that, or out of hesitation for moving forward. I'd love to know if you can kind of think of something, because these are the things that we have to bring out into the open and have that awareness about, or else we're not going to be able to progress, right? So what I got out of that is that, you know, for me, again, we'll go back to one of those things I talked about at the very beginning, and shifting your vibe and getting into that whole reality of things, right? Of that stuck, sludgy thing. You know, for me, I really kind of said to myself, you know what? I have to keep going to bookstores, and I have to go into bookstores with a loving heart, knowing that they are there for me for the near future. You know what I mean? Enjoy myself while I'm in the bookstores. If there's a book signing, go to a book signing where I'm going to enjoy and like kind of understand how it all works and that kind of thing, right? And again, go back to my book. Go back, reread it, re-edit it. Has anything changed in my life that I want to kind of tweak? Act like the book is active. Act like it is real, right? Don't just shelf it. which we tend to do on a lot of things that maybe aren't necessarily working out for us immediately, right? So that's really, really huge. Okay, let's see some of these comments. Your dark thing. Why can others do it and not me? That's a really, really huge dark piece. A lot of people feel it. And again, the comparisonitis aspect of it is always going to keep it dark. You know what I mean? So you really have to look at, and I've had to do this before too. You know what I mean? Like, we subscribe to so many different emails and all this stuff's coming at us and that kind of thing. Whether it be you clear out your email box and unsubscribe, or you not look at your email and see what's going on and all the stuff, you're being inundated, not go on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. You really have to separate yourself from everything else that's going on and just look at you and what you're working on, and know why you're doing this, and know the purpose here. Because if you take out all that other chatter and mental clutter of all these people that are telling you what to do, and all these people are telling you what to do, and all this extra sensory junk, take it all away. It's just you and what you're working on. And now you're like that much more powerful and that much more focused on the task at hand. And know that your purpose, Yolanda, is so much stronger than the reality that you have right now in this moment, right? Like, you know that your purpose and your passion and the idea of what you're doing and why you're doing it is massive. And if you look at it, you know, in the perspective of there is almost 8 billion people in the world, there's going to be enough clients for you. Absolutely. You just have to see yourself as different from everybody else. You know what I mean? And that's really like the driving factor. Like, you have to see yourself as different. You have to be authentic. You have to feel good in all of those things that we talked about. You know, there can't be any hesitations. You have to feel as though everything is in flow and is in hell yes. And you have to know that you have something to offer. You have to know that you have that self-worth and that you can charge for your services. And when you do that and it starts to flow in, you're not going to have that idea anymore. It's not going to be, why can others do it and not me? It's going to be, how are other people doing it or doing it to a bigger scale? And how do I get that? And how do I get to that place, right? So again, you can actually change the perspective of your question right now and say, somebody that you look up to or something like that in the kind of line of work that you're doing, you know, how did they get to that level? And what can I do today to actually propel me into that direction? Right? So again, it's all about our wording. It's all about kind of our belief system, all of that kind of thing. Bring in the unique aspect. Genevieve says she's coming out of the dark, can't create money space. I'm feeling lighter and more confident lately. Good, because if you keep thinking to yourself, like, I can't create money, right? Even if it's subconsciously, like, because you've been thinking about it for so long, that's what's going to just keep, you know, being in control of you, right? So again, for you to create money and get into the belief of I can create money, how can you actually just create money today? You know what I mean? Doesn't matter, even if it's like by selling an object like online or by putting out a $5 thing, whatever. Just get actually creating money, even if it's $1 today, and you won't have that belief anymore because you have created money. And then you'll be literally lying to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, just shift it so that you can actually change the perspective, so you can be like, that's not even true anymore, right? That's really, really big. Okay, what else? So examine the darkness that you, like, if you're feeling any kind of darknesses setting in, examine those and ask yourself why. Why am I actually feeling that way? And what has happened for me to kind of feel that way? Because those are the things that we actually really need to dive deep into, because there are very important messages there. Very important messages in the kind of like little darknesses that we feel. Okay, so here's another thing. I was talking to a client and friend about this yesterday, and I was telling her about, you know, people that were not kind of showing up for different things, right? That had paid for different things or had opportunities and weren't showing up and that kind of thing. Even kind of like the whole freebie grabbers that I've been talking about online. And she was telling me, about her mother who, I believe her mother has Parkinson's, okay? And so her mother isn't in the best of health, but her mom really needs these massages a couple times a month that will help her with longevity, help her with walking, mobility, all that kind of stuff, right? So that sounds good, right? Like, you know, a couple massages, probably a couple $100 a month, but it prolongs your life. It makes you feel better. But her mom's old school, so her mom's like, no, those are too expensive. I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So then her mom is stiffer, you know, is not prolonging her life, is, you know, her life's going a little bit more sludgy, right? Because she's not taking action in doing something that actually could help her that much more. It's that big contradiction, right? It's kind of like, again, what I talked about before, about somebody who doesn't want to buy an email autoresponder, you know what I mean, for $20 to $50 a month, yet they spend 5 hours typing in everybody's email. That doesn't make your life easier. That doesn't make your business better. That doesn't make you feel more empowered about your business. So look at these contradictions that might be happening in your life that actually, like, the big picture versus the little picture. You know what I mean? What you think in this moment that might be benefiting you. Okay, saving $200 a month, but yet I could live another 5 years if my mobility is better. You know what I mean? Like, what's it worth? What's your self-worth worth to you? What is your life worth to you? And you can look at that in so many avenues and in so many directions, right? So that's just something that I wanted to bring up because, again, it's all about what we're saying to the universe. It's all about, you know, we're telling the universe, I don't want to feel better. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel better. So I'm just going to sit here and not go get a massage that I know that, you know, somehow I can afford. I can make it work. You know what I mean? Or, for example, say that you want to make money. You know what I mean? You want to make money in your business. You want to be legit. You want, you know, great income to come in, but you're scared of taxes and you're scared of being dinged on PayPal for, you know, the $7 it's going to take off, right? So, you know, in your business, you have an e-commerce site or something like that, and all the buttons say donation, not payment. You know what I mean? So people are now donating. So now that you're not losing that $7 on every transaction, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, now you're telling the universe that you're not even really in business. Now you're telling the universe that you're not actually willing to make an income. You know what I mean? So we could be doing all of these different things subconsciously throughout our day, and we all do them, right? But it's really important for us to be aware of what they are, because if we're doing stuff like this and we're just letting it go on and on and on, that's where our blocks, that's where these blocks come from. That's where these negative beliefs come from, all that kind of stuff. Wherever there are contradictions, that is where a belief or a block is. So look at the contradictions that you are doing in your life, okay? Say, for example, you really, like, I always talk about this because it's funny, but you want to be visible. You're like, I want to be more visible online, and I don't know why I'm not, like, getting out there more. And yet your Facebook profile picture is a flower. You know what I mean? Like, that's a perfect contradiction. That's a perfect contradiction and place of where a belief and block is happening about you. If we ask, well, why do you have a flower on your profile photo? I just don't think I look that great. Well, why? How would you want to become visible? You know, like, so many of these things are so frustrating, right? And they're frustrating to see because I see them all the time. Oh, good, Lindsay's on. And I see them all the time, and it's real life, but we have to be really aware of these contradictions that are happening, because these contradictions are, and these hesitations and these contradictions and hesitations are really honestly like just blocking us from like winning the game of life. You know what I mean? So again, where are you hesitating in things? Where are the contradictions? Shift your vibe, right? If you're feeling sludgy. We've talked about so many things already, but it really is about the big picture versus the little picture. You know, what in your life right now can you actually make easier by investing in yourself in some way, right? Maybe energetically or monetarily or what have you, that it's going to become easier for you to do more things. It's going to allow you more time, especially at the beginning when you're building something, a business, a project, what have you. You can spend a lot of time building a website. I know that I didn't personally build my own website at the beginning, but I did a lot of the behind the scenes admin stuff, right? I wanted to learn all about how it worked just in case I ever needed to do it, which is another very important thing for you to do. But say for 5 hours, you're spending time creating an email sequence. for a program or something like that, or something that you're selling, and it takes you 5 hours, right? So right now, it's important for you to ask yourself, okay, you just spent 5 hours working on your website, okay? If you could have delegated that to somebody who that's their jam, right? And they could bang that out in an hour, right? You just could have had 4 extra hours where you could have spent in making an income, for paying for that VA, but also paying for dinner for the whole week. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, where are you hesitating? Because honestly, that's where you have to look, and you have to say, okay, how can I make my life easier and honestly flow better, and just automate it? It's important to automate your life in a lot of different ways. Not just business wise, right? For example, a couple of years ago, I was weeding my garden all the time, and I have tons of gardens, beautiful flower gardens that I just love, and I don't want to get rid of them. But the weeds were like, by the time I had weeded the whole garden, it was time to start over again and start weeding it again, right? And I basically said to myself, like, wow, I'm kind of spending like 2 days a week kind of out here puttering in the garden, which I love, but I'd much rather be spending my time, creating some kind of automated way to make money online, right? Instead of doing this. So therefore, then I could hire a gardener to do the weeding and that kind of thing, and then have another day just to spend relaxing or reading or what have you in my garden. So it's really interesting the way that you can think about this, because if there are things that you are forcing yourself to do and not really seeing the big picture, or not taking the time to actually see what that reality could look like. And a lot of time we don't dive into things and we don't spend money on things because we're like, oh, it's going to be too much money. And at the moment right now, like, I just can't start paying that and all that kind of stuff. But the whole idea about investing yourself, and this should kind of be a rule of thumb, but the whole idea about investing yourself is that when you invest in yourself, it's going to be an investment for you to make your life better in some way, whether that be to make more money every month, or whether that to be make your life easier, make your life more, prolong your life, right? Or to make your life more, make yourself healthier, or what have you, right? So if you're not here, if you're not the happiest version of yourself, it's all for nothing. You know what I mean? So again, business isn't everything. It really isn't. If I had the option, I probably, if I did not have to work at all, I probably would do creative things all the time, write books, create causes, like create charities, that kind of thing, which I kind of like have that momentum behind the scenes, but not to that big, huge level, right? That Richard Branson kind of level. But again, I would be doing a lot of the same things I'm probably doing now, just minus a couple things. So I think that that's a really good place to be, when you can say, a lot of the things I'm doing now, I wouldn't change. Like, I really wouldn't change if I didn't have to worry about an income or anything like that, right? It just proves that you're really on a good path. Thank you, Lindsay. It proves that you're on a good path, and that you are doing things that are really resonate with your heart. You know what I mean? So again, remember about upscaling yourself in any way that you possibly can. Upscaling is important, because if we're always staying stagnant, then we're never really growing and expanding, right? If we're not learning new things, we're not growing and expanding. If we're not investing in ourselves in some way, whether that be $20 a week, or a mentorship program, or a big program that you want to take, or buying that more decent car that's not going to break down all the time, right? That's important. If you have an old junker car that is literally you're putting out like $500 every 2 months into, yet you don't want to spend $500 a month on a brand new car that you know without a doubt is going to get you from point A to point B without any kind of problem. It's got a warranty, it's great on gas, you're going to save money on gas. Like, that's big picture versus little picture. You know what I mean? Like, how can you actually make your life better if you stop suffering? You know what I mean? There's so many things that we've talked about today, but that's just a kind of a good one to end off on. Lastly, I just want to remind you that you only have this life as this physical body here you are in now, and you have to make it the best you possibly can. You have to let yourself know that you have the confidence in yourself and the self-worth that you have for yourself, right? And I know that we were just talking on another call about people feeling so unbelievably their energy compromised by the injustice of the world, right? There's so much going on. Poverty, abuse, politics, animal abuse, all that kind of stuff, right? That is all like, you know, everybody has something different that is so unbelievably important to them and that they feel. And us being intuitive people, right? Necessarily, we don't even need to really know about this stuff, but we feel it within our heart, right? And so the topic we were talking about is, you know, how can you really feel good about upscaling yourself and leveling up in your own life when you know that these people are suffering? And the biggest piece about this is, and this is what I really learned after so many years of allowing myself to kind of suffer or not upscale because I felt so deeply about people that were in poverty or animals that were being abused, and just the fact that I felt kind of guilty about it. We have that guilt, right? The biggest piece for you to know is that, you know, money is a tool. Money is a tool that is going to help you create justice. In a sense, right? Money is a tool that is going to help you create awareness to these things that really bother you, to these injustices, right? It is a lot easier to help a situation with your time, energy, and money, of course, when you have some, right? So again, for those of you that are feeling guilty about, you know, say making whatever it is, even $150,000 a year, that might seem a lot to some people, right? But it still could be a dream for a lot of people. If you're feeling guilty about making that, then it is very important for you to kind of look at, okay, but what does that really look like? If I can make $150,000 a year, then I can actually put X amount of dollars into a charity that I really, really love, or create my own charity, right? And you are then giving back to the world. You are then giving that energetic exchange back to the universe for your life. Like, there is a lot more appreciation and gratitude for the money that you're bringing in, right? So again, a lot of people feel like they can't make a lot of money because they don't necessarily need it. You know what I mean? Like, I was talking with somebody the other day about they feel like they can't really like bring in a lot of money because realistically, like, they just live cheaply. You know what I mean? They just live simply. They don't need a lot of stuff to get by. So why would they actually need to make like $200,000 a year, right? Which is kind of like their goal, but there's that contradiction piece there. And it simply was that what I told them was that when you actually make a list or something like that for where the money is going, right? Like, you have a place and a purpose for every dollar that comes in. It's easier to kind of wrap your head around it. So say you want to make $100,000 a year, okay? But realistically right now, you're only living on like $35,000 a year and you're making it work. So $100,000, like, whoa, I could do some fun things, but really, like, I don't need it. Like, there's a lot of other people in the world that could use that, right? So what you can do to kind of get over that, like, monetary hump is that really map out where this $100,000 is going, okay? So if the $100,000, say $40,000 is kind of going to go to maybe a bank account that you have to buy a new house, right? That's where that's going to go. There's $10,000 that's going to go to your business to make it bigger, right? As you break it down, it's like, oh, I actually have a place for that to go, and that is my plan. So that actually helps you shift your money vibe, you know, for where your money is going. So that's really, really important. Again, it's really important too, if it is something deep within your heart, you care about the injustice of the world, it's important for you to set aside some money of your choice to go to a cause or create your own cause, right? That is also going to help shed any kind of guilt that you might have, right? I know that guilt is such a really big piece of the pie that really keeps people stuck. It's kept me stuck for a really long time too. Not only guilt about the injustice of the world, but also guilt around how our friends and family might feel. Maybe they don't make the same amount of money, right? Maybe they'll think that we don't deserve it. Like, there's so much, like, guilt is like one of the worst things. It really, really is. And I'm actually going to do another Facebook Live on it in a couple days, especially around guilt, because there's so many ways that we can look at it, and there's so many ways that it keeps us stuck. But I've been on here a really long time. I'm going to go. I know we talked about a lot of good things. I hope that at least you got like one good nugget of information out of this chat. If you did, I would love for you to comment below what it is so that I know. And if there's anything else at all, like if you have any questions or anything like that about any of the topics that we talked about, or, you know, how you specifically can move forward with something specific, that kind of thing, Thank you, Nicole. I would definitely love to hear it. So everybody's issues, everybody's problems in a sense are valid, okay? And we can work through them all. We really, really can. Even if they're money issues, money is just a result of something else. So we have to just find out what the something else is. You know what I mean? And usually when we look at our hesitations and we look at where we're not buying into things and we look at where we're putting our self-worth, you know, on a scale, we can usually figure a lot of these issues out. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate the people that have been hanging on here with me. Thank you, people, for watching the replay as well. And again, oh, there's a couple more things I wanted to mention to you about. So for those of you that the magical jewelry party, which the pieces have incredible intentions and have been blessed by shamans. I know that sounds interesting, right? But that jewelry party is actually going to be happening on, I believe, Sunday. So I'm going to be creating the event for it. I'll be posting in the group. I'll be sending out a message to all the people that actually had told me before that they wanted to definitely come in, but you're free to join. There is actually only 30 pieces of necklaces. They are just utterly amazing. They all have tassels. They are so infused with high vibes, magic, intentions for all of these different things. Things like, you know, expanding in your life and business, or really harnessing the essence of the moon. Like, there are so many different things. And so really it's going to be kind of like a quick online flash sale. So if there's a piece that you see on there in the private group that I'm going to have for this, you want to grab it. You know what I mean? These are pieces that you are literally going to have for the rest of your life. And honestly, the prices are like really reasonable. So again, if that's something of interest to you, watch for the event in the group here, and I'll post that in there. I'd love to have you in that. And also there's one other thing. Oh, if you haven't grabbed the birch tree meditation or listened to that yet, please do so. I did post that in the group yesterday as well. And that is just a really awesome meditation for you to listen to throughout the month of November, because yesterday was the Celtic New Year. So it's just all about new beginnings and shedding and releasing old patterns and things we don't need anymore. So run with these magical tools, y'all, and your life will become more magical, right? In all these different aspects. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Talk to you soon. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye.